Hello everyone. Jack Morlick the Sega fan here. Today I'm covering the Capcom's franchise timeline. You see, I set out on I put a roadmap out, or whatever. I have an objective when it came to making this channel, which is to make sure Capcom and Sega are treated equally. Because I think Capcom is very much similar to us in almost every respect. They're a bit different, but almost the same. So, I mean, similar ideals, similar fandoms, similar attitudes, just in general, we're very similar. So today, if you couldn't guess by the music, I'm doing the Strider timeline. Now, technically speaking, the Strider is part of a very much larger timeline. The Capcom timeline, some might call it. But I'm not getting into that, because that's going to be like one of the hardest projects of my career. So, not yet. I'll save that for when I have no more fucking timelines left. How about that? So, no Street Fighter. For now. Or anytime soon, probably. So, let me just check my notes here. Here we are. So, the Strider timeline. First of all, we have Hiryu I as the very first protagonist of the series. Debuting in Strider for the Commodores. And, by the way, before I begin, I'd like to stress the fact that a lot of video game franchises back in the day, like in the retro 80s and 90s, did this thing with their franchises where they would make the ports, they would disguise the ports as sequels as ports. So, for example, I mean, I'll explain a lot more about this in depth when I do the Wonder Boy timeline, because holy shit. That's a lot more complicated than it ever needed to be, but that's a topic for another day. Anyway, so the first 4 Strider games are in fact basically the same game by common knowledge, but they're actually not. So the first Strider game was for the Commodore 64/Mega Drive called, well, Strider. Then Strider for the Genesis/Arcade was, you know, the second. Strider for the PC Engine was the third, and then Strider for the PS1, which was fourth and final. Basically, these 4 games together when you combine them together, they tell the story, the full story, of the very first Strider. The very first Strider Hiryu. So, what happened was, he had to go on this journey to defeat Grandmaster Mayo, but first he had to clear a training simulation, and, you know, all that jazz. And then, like, the other 3 games tell the ending in 3 parts. The beginning of the ending, the middle of the ending, and the ending of the ending. So, yeah. Now, another thing is that every 2,000 years in this series, there is a new Strider, Hiryu. This next Strider is actually an adaptation of the manga, but I've never read the manga because I probably couldn't find it anyway. Not for lack of trying, mind you. I did this timeline over a year ago last, so I remember very little about the NES game. Strider the Second is for the NES console only, and as I said, it's an adaptation of the manga. Other than that, I really don't remember a whole lot about this game other than, like, there was a traitor in the Strider ranks, and yeah. That's all I can really remember. I don't think Grandmaster Mayo was there. He appears every 2,000 years, that icky fucker. So, after that, Strider 2 happened 2,000 more, or, you know, something like 2,000 years after the first game. To be honest, I'm not sure about the canonicity of the NES game, so back to Strider 2. Strider II takes place nearly 2,000 years after the events of the first game, as I said, starring, well, Strider Hiryu III, or maybe the second, depending on what you consider canon with the NES game. Grandmaster Mayo's back. He's done a whole lot to fuck up the world. He rules it now, I guess. And, your mission is to fucking kill him. Again. Yeah. It's got really good music. Okay. This is like workout music, I love it. And then lastly, we have the soft reboot of 2014, simply called Strider. You can play this game on all sorts of modern consoles. Oh, right, quick side note about Strider 2. The Strider 2 is not the same as Strider 2. So, Strider 2 is the canon game, and Strider 2 is not canon. Very important to note that. But anyway, this game has a more cyberpunk aesthetic to it, with Strider the third or fourth, depending, again, on the NES game. So, this game really... it kind of molds together everything from the past 3 games that I mentioned. You know, the NES game, the very first Strider game that's split into 4 parts, and of course, you know, Strider 2. It blends together concepts from all 3 of those games into this game. And it feels very much like a soft reboot, as it should. And that's really all I have to say about it. It's really epic. You should go buy it. It's like at the time of this video, you can actually buy it for like $4 on the PSN store, so definitely something to play. You can play it on Xbox, Switch, PS4, PS5, and even PC. So go play it. It's really good. Hard, but good. But all ninja games are hard. Now, I wanted to do a Shinobi timeline for this month, but I thought about it and realized maybe it's better if I hold off on that until the new Shinobi game comes out. Because I want to be able to make a more cohesive timeline. I'm already having a hard time. There's only one person that can really do the kind of timeline putting together that is Shinobi or Sonic Game Universe, and that's me. So until I have more details, I'm going to wait until the new Shinobi game comes out. Until then, please be patient. I'll hopefully have that out by September of next year. Anyway, that's, yeah. Well, we'll see what we do for the rest of this month. Have a great week, and I'll be out with some more videos over the course of the next few weeks. Every Wednesday, Sunday. So, this is Jack Mordick, the Sega fan, signing off.